we have spent the last few weeks talking about action economy, adding bonus actions, reactions, legendary actions, the whole 9 yards. So today I want to walk you guys through how I adjust stat blocks. We're going to take a non-legendary creature that only has a bonus action and increase its action economy all the way up to legendary and adjust the stat block entirely. And the monster we're going to do it with is the Medusa. Now, why did I choose this monster? It's pretty simple. I think Medusas are legendary. In myth, in legends, they are a legendary creature. Oftentimes there is only one at a time in certain stories, so there's no reason this creature shouldn't be legendary. It'll still be a smaller legendary monster, not nearly as big as a dragon or a kraken, but legendary nonetheless. So let's dive in. Now, the first thing we have to do is decide where this Medusa is coming from. Now, these are all the reasons that a Medusa is typically created. We're actually going to choose one of these and build the system from there. We're going to go with a cultist who had made a fiendish bargain, and enjoying the rewards have since faded. Now, the reason we're choosing this is because we want this one to be a cult leader. Why? I don't know, I think it's cool. The second part of this is we're going to say that they had actually cursed their entire bloodline. Because of that, they have been an heir to a long line of Medusa who have led a cult, the same cult. That's led to them taking on spellcasting properties coming from a charisma casting place. We're going to say that this has made them a kind of pseudo-royalty, so they're going to have some martial prowess as well. And finally, at the end of this, we're going to give them some legendary actions. Now, as far as what we need to fill in, we've got the action economy. They have a claw attack, but I think that's pretty lame, so we're going to give them a weapon and a weapon mastery. They only have one bonus action, which has a recharge, so we're going to fix that. They don't have any reactions, and that's a shame. We're going to add spell casting because of the lore we just talked about. And finally, we'll add legendary actions. As far as the weapons go, we're going to be choosing the rapier or the whip. The rapier because it kind of has that regal, royal feel to it, and the whip because being a cult leader, it kind of fits that whole vibe. The rapier will give them Vex, which will give them advantage on their next attack until the start of their next turn, and the whip will slow them down. We're going to choose the rapier for this, and I went ahead and added in the mastery into the stat blocks. So when they hit a creature with the rapier, they'll have advantage on their next attack against that creature. We also rewrote the multi-attack so it reads a little bit better. Instead of being a claw attack, it's a rapier attack, and it can replace a rapier attack with a snake hair attack. Now it still has the poison ray, haven't changed anything there yet. Now for bonus actions, I wanted to give it some kind of spell casting. Start with the spell casting. Because they're a charisma caster, we're going to be pulling from sorcerer, warlock, and paladin class spells. The two that we're going to choose from are Misty Step and Hex. Now if we use Hex, we need to give mobility as a legendary action. If we choose Misty Step, then we get some of that mobility out of the way. This creature has no mobility, and that's kind of a problem. We're going to use the mobility. Hex is cool, but I don't think it adds enough to this creature to make it worth adding to the stat block. Now, as far as reactions go, they're always a reaction to something happening. The three things that I can think of here are they're being attacked, either melee or in range, there's somebody spell casting, or they're being approached. Of course, opportunity attacks just in general still apply, but we're not going to mess with that. We want to do more than just the vanilla. I'm thinking for this that we're going to use Hellish Rebuke for being attacked, adding maybe Counterspell, and finally we're thinking of using a Snake Hair attack for getting too close. Kind of like Polar Master lets you make an attack because they enter your range. If we're not using legendary actions for this, we could add 1 or 2 reactions from that list there and call it a day. But we are planning to use legendary actions, so we're going to add Hellish Rebuke as a reaction here. So I still want this creature to have Counterspell, so we're going to add that to our system here. So I literally just added that in. Hellish Rebuke or Counterspell. In my mind, she's telling them to stop casting, or she's literally casting Hellish Rebuke. I'll probably update the name for Hellish Rebuke later, but for right now, we're gonna leave it. Now, with how this is set up, she can use either Hellish Rebuke or Counterspell up to 3 times a day. That's not 6 total castings, that's 3 total casting of either one. Now let's move to spell casting. Again, they're a charisma caster, and I want them to have some abilities. Now, because they're a cult leader, we're gonna do some adjustments here that aren't just damage. Based off of other stat blocks that we've seen from 2024, the idea here is we're gonna have 1 level 1, 1 level 2, and 1 level 3. The 1 level 1 is gonna be Charm Person. The level 2 will be Darkness, because magic eyes, the whole vibe there. And finally, level 3 is going to be Vampiric Touch, with a caveat that they're going to be able to use it to petrified creatures. Updating the stat block here, we now have Stone Drain, so if the Medusa uses the Vampiric Touch on a petrified creature, they don't have resistance to that. Typically, petrified creatures do have resistance to all damage, but with this specific ability, the idea is that she is feeding off the petrified creatures. Now at this point, we've added a bunch of action economy. We've got bonus actions, we've got reactions, we've added spell casting, and we've added a mastery. So we're going to move to legendary actions. Your typical legendary actions are going to be move, attack, a mix of moving and attacking, some kind of an AoE centered at the creature, a spell casting of some kind, whether it's a fireball or a scorching ray, those kinds of things, or some other thing. We're going to pick 3 things for her to be able to do, and one of them is going to be only once per round. So here's the 3 that I've made for this. Royal Dance, which is based off of other legendary actions and bonus actions, where the Medusa can disengage and move up to her speed. Personal Space, where she can attack all creatures within a 5-foot emanation starting at her, and each one is individually targeted with a snake hair attack. But she can only use this 1 time per round. I've thought about changing the name on that, but it's good enough. And finally, Petrifying Gaze. Petrifying Gaze is a recharge ability, so if she doesn't have it available, this gives her another opportunity to roll it again. Meaning that if she re-rolls it and then use it on the next round, that's going to take up 2 of her legendary actions. Might be worth it, might not. Final adjustments here, we're going to look at some CR adjustments, some health adjustments, and reflect some of the changes onto the stat block. So into the nitty gritty, we're going to give her a +5 to her stats, and specifically those are going to be distributed between Dex and Charisma. Next, we're going to adjust her CR, +2 for the non-legendary adjustments that we made, so she's from 6 now to 8, and then another 3 for becoming legendary. For the health adjustment for a CR 11 creature, we're looking between like 200 to 230. I settled in here, I think about 217 is what I ended up adjusting it to. You'll see that in just a second. And finally, we're going to adjust her AC, which is going to be 8 plus proficiency bonus, which is now 4, plus her Dex, which is now 5, and that's going to bring us to a 17 AC. We're going to reflect those changes in, and finally, we're going to adjust some of the damage for the attacks. So we're going to add 1 or 2 damage die per attack. So now we've got this really beefy stat block. AC 17, 217 HP, +9 to initiative, the adjusted scores there. I know I said CR 11, but we chose CR 12 because I like round numbers and it changes no stats. Our rapier attacks are going to be +9 to hit, poison razor +7 because of the charisma modifier. So this has now used all of the adjustments that we have made in a cohesive stat block that I can use for myself or send to somebody. So that's it. That is our legendary Medusa stat block. Now we have effectively doubled this creature's CR, and if I wanted to keep that CR a little bit closer to where it was before, I could have stopped anywhere along this process. Just given some extra reactions or bonus actions, maybe not even given them a mastery. We can pick and choose what parts of this process we want to add or subtract. But I wanted you guys to go along with the entire process so you saw the whole thing. Now, for shits and giggles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of those different versions that I had made, and I'm going to throw them up on Patreon for free. So you guys can see the whole process from one stat block to the next, updated as we go. Hopefully this opens up some insights for you guys on what this process looks like for me. All of the information here was free available from the SRD. We just took some time to make the adjustments. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys have any questions.